Good evening, viewers. It's the Tonny and Tim show. We're back again. I'm Tonny.
And I'm Tim.
Welcome back from that extended international break, team. Of course, we saw the teams making their final preparations ahead of the World Cup.
Yeah.
Some surprising results there. Of course, the biggest coming from the England camp where they were relegated into the League B of the UEFA Nations League.
Yeah.
Your comments on that?
Yeah, Tony, England has not been in form after the final of the Euros. They've lost, they've not won in about 6 games, and that was the last preparation to the World Cup. They were primed to be contenders, but with what has happened in the last games, I don't think so.
England should be worried right now because, of course, we know they went into the international break with their big player, the centre back, not having enough game time at the club level. He's now back with an injury. Luke Shaw also is another player that we think should be in the starting 11, but he hasn't had enough time at Manchester United. Some of those are the problems that the teams will be looking at. The team managers of the country sides will be looking at going into, of course, the World Cup. That was the last outing of all the countries before we go to that November World Cup in Qatar, which we'll be bringing you here on the Tonny and Tim show. Of course, all the insights and all the information. But we turn our attention back to the Premier League, where we hadn't had enough games, Timothy, just before the international break. Of course, we had the burial ceremony taking over of Queen Elizabeth there. But now we're back with a fresh game, a big one starting Saturday, an early kickoff. Arsenal will be taking on Spurs at the London Stadium, or what we call the Emirates.
Yeah, Tony, and it's going to be a blockbuster. It is a derby, a hell of a derby, and I think it's the best way to welcome
the Premier
League back, Tony. And I think it will be a game that we will watch and know that everyone will be out there watching this game because it's a tight affair. You look at both the table, it's being primed one of the biggest derbies, the North London derbies
in a while.
Because these two teams have been a top and both having the form of their lives. Arsenal, of course, topping with 18 points. Tottenham at number 3 with 17.
Just so 1 point behind.
Yeah, there's an incentive for both sides, and I think it's going to be a hell of a game.
It will be very, very interesting. Of course, Tottenham coming into this game unbeaten, mark you, with Arsenal having lost 1 game there. It will be very, very interesting. 18 points versus 17 points. Mikel Arteta will have to be ready for this one with Antonio Conte coming into this particular game. But there's slight injury news to deal with in both camps, I think. Arsenal in particular, they had 3 of their players return from the international break quicker than they would have thought. In Kieran Tierney, Partey, of course, and
Zinchenko, of course, that we think might feature. And then also on the other side of Tottenham, Hugo Lloris limped out of the French game. There's news that Kulusevski may not be available, but both coaches have tried to keep the cards to their chest, so we really don't know who is going to be available and who won't be. But it's a game, I think, even with the players that will make it to the occasion, they're going to turn up. And we've seen, Tony, like last season, I mean, Arsenal was not at the top of their game, but they were able to beat Tottenham 3-0. So it's for me a game that it's played for the fans. Even the points matter, but the fans come first.
It will be very interesting. Of course, we know that derbies, you have to go away with the bragging rights. Arsenal coming to this game, of course, with Aaron Ramsdale, a player who featured in the England squad, but we didn't see him turning up in any of the games. So it will be interesting to see if he can keep the levels that he was playing at. All over the squad, Ben White is another one that was not called up for England, but people were thinking maybe he deserved the call-up. Will we see Tomiyasu playing ahead of him? It will be very interesting in that to see who Arteta picks. But up front, though, Arsenal still have the ammunition. Of course, Gabriel Jesus, another player who wasn't picked up for Brazil. He will be raring to go in this particular one. Saka, we saw the way he turned up against Germany in that game. 3-3 coming from the bench, assisting 2 goals. So that Arsenal has the ammunition to go into this particular game and cause some havoc. For Spurs, Harry Kane enjoys this derby team.
He enjoys it. He is already the top scorer in this fixture, and I think he would want to extend that record. And you look at the other people. We've said Kulusevski might not feature. That brings in Son back into the mix.
Who had a hat-trick last time out.
He will be raring to go again. And Richarlison, of course, wants to compete against his counterparts who are on the other side, Gabriel Jesus and Martinelli there. You know, Richarlison was called to the Brazil side and the other 2 were not. So you want to prove why you're in the Brazil team. So up front, and I think that's what the difference is going to be made. It's who is going to take their chances. Both guys look clinical. I think Jesus has played a bigger part and he will try to get goals there. Harry Kane will also be looking to get some goals there. It's a game I see goals all over.
If you look at the midfield team, and I think this is where this game will be won.
Yeah.
Arsenal, of course, hoping that Thomas Partey will be able to make this fixture alongside Granit Xhaka, which is the most solid team. If Partey doesn't make it, with Lokonga, I don't think Arsenal will be able to quell Spurs' midfield of Bentancur and Pierre Højbjerg.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned there. If Partey doesn't make it to this lineup, then there's a problem for Arsenal. If he does make it, it's a different ball game, Tony. So, but I think Partey will make it. Arsenal has treated him a bit well, cautiously, and I think they're preparing him for this type of games. Yeah.
Very, very big one. Of course, Arsenal will be taking on Tottenham Hotspur at the Emirates at 2:30 p.m. East African time. This is a mouth-watering clash by all levels, of course, with the two forward lines of both clubs having started the season in scintillating fashion. The two clubs having solid backlines, solid goalkeepers. Yeah. If Hugo Lloris, though, who is a big doubt in this one, if he's missing out, I still think Fraser Foster is an able deputy.
Yeah, is a decent deputy there, so it won't be much of a difference in the goalkeeping.
Prediction?
I've gone for both sides to score goals here, but I think the fans are going to push Arsenal over the line. I've gone for 2-1 Arsenal.
Very, very interesting one. I think Arsenal has what it takes in this particular fixture, especially being at home. I think they can be able to beat Tottenham Hotspur by 2-1 as well. That's the same score I've gone for. Big watering clash there. You can't afford to miss it. 2:30. Share with us your predictions as well on our social media pages. But after that, 5 o'clock in the evening, it's still East African time. Yeah. We'll be having Chelsea taking on Crystal Palace away from home in Graham Potter's first game of
the Premier League.
The Premier League.
Yeah, it's only his first game, and I think Graham Potter will try to look for points. It's not the best way to go to the Selhurst Park to look for points there. Crystal Palace, totally dominant team when they're at home. So it's going to be tricky for Chelsea. I don't think Chelsea will get a win there. I've gone for a draw, 1-1.
Very interesting. I think Chelsea are having struggled a bit in the early stages of the gentleman's reign, Potter's reign. They'll be looking to find a win, perhaps to make sure that the pressure does not heap immediately on their new boss. So this is a game where they'll be hoping to pick up points. I think they can be able to achieve a win here. I've gone for 2-0 Chelsea win in this particular fixture. Same time, we'll be having Liverpool, of course, taking on Brighton and Albion, who are in the top 4, Marquio, just before Graham Potter left them right now with a new manager. Yeah,
with the new manager, you don't want to call it a new manager bounce. You want to say maybe will the manager maintain their current top form, which I think Brighton is a solid side. It's just that the opponent this time in Liverpool is a bit different. Liverpool has had a shaky season, scoring, I think, late goals.
Only 2 wins in the first 6 games.
Exactly. So we now don't know. I think the internationals came at the right time because they were in a slumpy form. But this could be a start for Liverpool. But again, Brighton will be looking into showing themselves that they are much more than Graham Potter. So it's a game, an affair that both sides will come to the table. But again, Liverpool, I think, has enough.
No, it will be interesting. Liverpool, of course, we've talked about their midfield problems all season, but now they seem to be gelling back with Thiago coming back from injury now, and we've had Jordan Henderson has also been available for training the whole time. So we'll be seeing perhaps a more familiar midfield this time from Liverpool. I think, of course, they have what it takes. I've gone for 3-0 Liverpool win. I've given Brighton a goal, Tony. I think Brighton will score 1, but it will be 3-1. It's just that we don't know which forwards. Jota is back, Tony. The Nunes, the striker who was carded, might also be contending to start. So Liverpool has goals in them, but Brighton should get a goal, 3-1. Very interesting one there. Of course, that is also another big affair. You cannot afford to discount Liverpool taking on Brighton at Anfield. Though at 5 p.m., that's very, very interesting game. Another blockbuster of a game, Timothy, comes up on Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m., this time early, because of the Champions League commitments in midweek next week. Manchester United will be visiting Man City. This is a big one, Tim. It's a big one. It's a big one because you've said it's a rejuvenated Man United, Tony. I think they've won the last 4 games, so they come into this with some confidence. But Man City, you cannot rule them out. Haaland is scoring here left and right. But you look at the pairings, it's fascinating because the Man United defender, Martinez, is going to be pitched against a giant. So it's like Goliath and David fight. But
it's a fight that's going to go all over the pitch, and it's a derby, a Manchester derby that, again, like the London derby, people play for the fans, so the adrenaline that day is higher than the normal games. But at the end of the day, Tony, you look at
let's
both
take a step
sides.
forward, a step backwards, Timothy. Right, we got the news just before coming on air that Eric Ten Hag has won Manager of the Month, alongside Marcus Rashford, who has also taken that accolade for Player of the Month. Manchester United, 4 games on the bounce. They've been winning in the Premier League. Of course, they missed the key fixture. They missed the key fixture during that Queen break. They look like a big side once again. What can we expect in this Manchester derby? Last season, Man City beat them home and away. 2 goals at Old Trafford and 4 at the Etihad. You don't see that happening this time round. What has changed in a short amount of time?
I think Ten Hag, Tony, has made big calls. The first one is to be able to bench his captain, Harry Maguire. That's the biggest call he's done so far. Number 2 is to try.
They don't do it usually.
They don't do it. They all keep the captain there. Number 2 is trying to get the team to gel, to play his ball. And 3 is respecting the opponents. We've seen against Arsenal, they were a bit cautious. Against the smaller teams, they try to attack.
To engage.
But I think Sunday's game is going to give us a definition of Man United. If they pick points, if they win, then they're a title contender. If they draw, they're a decent side for the top 4. If they get butchered, then they're back to where they belong.
No. I don't think this is the kind of game where we can judge the team, Timothy. Manchester City, for all its frailties, because we talk about Man City, a side that hasn't lost a single game yet. They've won, or they've only drawn 2 games, but we look at them as still a very solid side. Not as sharp as they would have wanted, but the coach knows that the team is capable of better. But even that, if you compound that with the arrival of Erling Haaland, who is scoring left, right, and center, this still is a team that can beat anyone on their day. They can go to toe with anyone. Mark you, all the issues that they've been having in defense, now they seem to be having a solution with Nathan Ake and Manuel Akanji fighting for the other place alongside Ruben Diaz. This is a side that's very decent, Timothy.
Yeah, Man City Tone is very decent, but if you look at player to player, you would think Man U would be decent too, because if you look at Bruno Fernandes, Eriksen, maybe we don't know Scott McTominay will start, or it is there.
That will be another big call that we can't wait to see.
Going to start. You look at pair to pair, players are almost equal. So if Man United get butchered, then it's a different discussion. So Sunday's game, to me, is going to be a defining game.
It will be very, very interesting. Of course, like we just said, Man City not having too many injuries to contend with. The long-time absentees are still out. Of course, there with Aymeric Laporte, who has also been out for a while, now coming back into training this week. So it will be interesting to see if the coach can throw him back into the deep end. But Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva had decent outings in the international break. So it will be interesting to see them continuing. Phil Foden as well having a good outing for England. He played decently, I think. So it will be interesting. Jack Grealish, another player, was called up for England. Perhaps more people would have thought maybe it was a debatable decision. So Man City have the kind of depth to attack Man United. Manchester United, though, in my opinion, have had a bounce in the last 1 month, and it's visible across the pitch. Lisandro Martinez has made a formidable partnership with Rafael Varane, something that perhaps we might have thought everyone was talking about his stature. He's not fit enough to play centre-back in the Premier League. He's shown himself time and again. Like you said, this is a game where we'll be waiting to see if he can take on a challenge like Haaland. It will be very interesting. Maybe then it will mean that Man U has finally found their centre-back pairing for a few seasons. It will be very interesting to see. I think, though, Manchester City has enough to go over this Manchester United side. They have to be cautious of the Manchester United counter-attack. The same that was deployed against Arsenal.
Very cautious. you look at the likes of Rashford, Anthony, very fast players. Very quick. So if Man
and Bruno and Eriksen can pick a pass.
So Man United might need to suck up the pressure and then break. If they do that, they have a chance. If they go to toe-to-toe, they'll get battered.
Very, very interesting there. Of course, that's another big clash. You can't afford to miss that over the weekend. Of course, share with us your predictions. Prediction for this one, team.
I have gone for Man City win 3-1.
It will be very, very interesting. I think this is going to be the derby that defines the season. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw, Manchester United and Man City.
2-2.
This is going to be a scintillating affair. Let us know what you think, of course, in the comments below on this video. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our channel to never miss any of our episodes. We, of course, would like to thank you for all your comments, all your feedback that you keep sharing with us. Share with a friend, share the link below, click subscribe. And of course, the episode is brought to you by Moving Ads, who sponsor our studio. We thank our sponsors, Rainforest Coffee, The Taste of Nature, and of course,
eTax Ware, your gateway to eFRIS.
Thank you for watching, and goodbye for now. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.